And welcome to your televisions, your screens, your phones, the wonderful Natalie Lam. Natalie.
Yes.
How do we know each other?
We know each other because I worked for you many years ago when I was just a mere 21 years old and I finished uni. I'm now 27, so that's a long time. Yeah,
I was waiting for you to go, I'm now 23. Wow, that was ages.
No. I know, right?
Wow.
So yeah, worked with you guys for like 3 years. Sorry, for you guys, not with you guys.
Thanks, Ashley. Sorry, Ashley just said that you look pretty and that I also do.
Well, that camera is fantastic. I'm really in awe of you right now, John.
Thanks.
But yeah, and then I moved on to become the digital marketing manager at Natracare. So that means...
What's Natracare?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Natracare is a vegan, sustainable, biodegradable, cruelty-free personal care products brand. So we sell like period products, maternity products, makeup wipes, the world's first truly flushable wipe.
Wow.
Yeah, we sell in like 80 countries worldwide. But yeah, that's me at Natracare.
Wow. How long have you been at Natracare?
I've been at Natracare for almost 3 years now.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe that we kept on hold of your coattails for that long before you went and started working for a worldwide vegan products company.
Well, I am all about loyalty, but not enough to not leave you. I also am a co-host of a podcast called Just a Girl Podcast with Katie Roberts, also from Noise.
Never heard of her.
No, she's fantastic. Get to know her. But that podcast is all about like music industry and intersectional feminism. So if you're not a misogynist and like music, then you'll like this podcast.
You know what? And I'm a misogynist. And as you know, I like the podcast still. So I'm not a misogynist. I should make that quite clear. I don't think anyway. I probably am. Probably have tendencies and have to be told.
I think everyone does it to a degree.
Not every. I don't think you and Katie
I think
do,
everyone. No, internalized misogyny.
Oh yeah, she did scream that at herself the other day on a call. That's how deep your influence runs at Noisy Little Monkey. Occasionally, the client development manager at Noisy Little Monkey goes, "Internalised misogyny!" at herself.
Well, it's good to recognise it and it's good to overcome. So anyway, let's move on from misogyny and feminism.
Why don't we? So you have offered to talk to us about how to run an influencer campaign. Yes. So do you run a lot of those at Natracare?
Yeah, we do run a lot. So we have sort of a rolling amount. So we'll do like a couple every month, maybe minimum. But if we are working on a specific campaign, we'll also kind of ramp up the activity for that as well. So yes, we do quite a lot. And then obviously we do some for like the US, and then we do some for Germany as well. So yeah, it's just constant basically.
And do you do a mix of, so what's your marketing mix, so to speak? You don't have to tell us percentages exactly unless you've got those to hand. But what sort of stuff does Natracare do?
Do you mean influencer-wise?
No, generally in marketing. What other stuff's going on in that space?
Other marketing. So we've got a new PR and comms officer. So we'll kind of, the campaign that we're working on, she'll sort of find the angle to go to press with. We also just kind of do like general print advertising in magazines, in appropriate like either trade or consumer magazines. We go to shows, mostly like trade shows, but we have done a couple of consumer shows in the past just to kind of like advertise our products, advertise anything new. And then obviously like your standard digital blog, social, website.
Cool. Yeah, okay. All right. So it's part of a proper big, and not that I didn't think for a minute that it wouldn't be part of a proper big thing because you're running it. But just in case people on the call are beginners to this, like myself, I've never run an influencer campaign. I don't think. Have we? Maybe we have. I'm saying we because if we did, you did it and I claim credit.
It was Holly, actually. Holly did it. She did a whole talk on it back in like 2016.
So she did. Micro-influencers.
Yeah, that was it.
And at the end of that talk, a gentleman who shall remain nameless turned up after repeatedly being told that he should use our tech for that conference, turned up, insisted on using his tech, didn't have the connector for his brand new Uber Space Mac, and Holly did a dance with Natasha, creative director, on stage to divert 250 people's attention while a lovely audience member gave us a connector.
I remember that, yeah. What a time.
Good times. So, okay. So talk to us about influencer campaigns. Where do we start if we're going to run one?
Yeah, so if you want to run one, you kind of have to ask yourself why you want to run one first, and also what you want to achieve if you are going to run one. So, what are your objectives? What are your KPIs? Is it website visits, brand awareness, petition signatures? I've included that because that's actually an example that we've got, a real life example. And depending on your objective, that sort of informs what type of collaboration you want to go for. And it's also like crucial in finding out whether your campaign is successful if you know exactly the objective that you want to have.
I'm interested in the petition one that you mentioned. What was that?
So we did a campaign, and I'll mention this. I've got notes on it, but we did a campaign called. No, it's okay. I'll explain now because it's probably one of our most successful campaigns. So I think it's worth mentioning now to give context to other points. But we ran a campaign called Rename Don't Shame. And it was a call on supermarkets, just stores, everything that sells period products, to rename their labeling of either sanitary pads or feminine hygiene to period products. And that was for three main reasons, if I can think. So one was to be inclusive of non-binary and trans people who don't identify as like feminine, or even women who also don't identify as feminine. And to also help break the taboo that having a period is unsanitary. But also, I think that it helps kind of, I don't know if tackle is the right word, but tackle body dysphoria for non-binary people, or intersex people, sorry. If they sort of don't associate themselves with a typical male, or in this instance, female body. So yeah, we just wanted to be inclusive of that community.
It really helps in that case, and does it always help that the campaign or the business has purpose? Like, because we hear so many, like I hear fucking lawyers tell me about the purpose of their business, and banks, and it's like that. Your purpose is to make money for your shareholders. That's it. Yeah. It sounds like you guys really have a purpose.
Yeah, and I think that really helps a lot with our marketing. But I think it's a purpose that kind of all businesses need. You kind of need a wider goal than just make money. Obviously, that is what people have jobs for. But I think it really helps us, and it helps us connect with our customers, consumers, our followers on social media, that we are more than just, we're going to sell you this thing. We're trying to just help do something bigger than ourselves, basically.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So because I know I keep taking you off of what we've said we're going to discuss, because I'm like that. Oh, that's interesting, and you're like that. No, not that bit. Let me do the.
I keep being like, okay.
So you were saying about setting out what you want to achieve.
Yes.
What do we need to do? What should we do?
So yeah, once you've figured out what you want to achieve, you need to calculate how much you would spend, either like entirely for a big campaign or just on this one influencer. So calculate your benchmark costs. You can do this either like just Googling your industry standard for like cost per engagement or cost per X thing. So for example, if you're working with an influencer and you think, oh, they'll get like 500 likes, based on the industry average of cost per engagement, how much is that going to cost in the end? And that will give you like a rough estimate maybe on how much you should spend.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And you can just, Googling it, is there any specific tool that you like to use, or is it actually you have to Google it because there's so many different tools or so many different listings?
Yeah, we have to Google. We've created, because we've done so many now, we have created our own benchmark costs. We've cheeky. Adjusted it because, yeah, cheeky. We've adjusted it because we...
Cheeky. I accidentally tricked you into saying cheeky on a webinar.
Anyway, move on.
Natalie Lam used to be cool, ladies and gentlemen, used to be cool.
No, it's not me. It's not even me that started this cheeky thing. Anyway, so Rival IQ also publishes something every year. So you can check out their reports. But yeah, because we do some so often, we've got a benchmark costs sheet, and we've adjusted it because, you know, based on like how much we can negotiate and all that kind of stuff, which I'll talk about later. So yeah, having your own benchmark costs, but also you can base it off of campaigns that you've already done if this is not your first influencer marketing campaign. And if you think that's done well, then obviously you can say, okay, we can pay similar amount. Or if you think that was a bad campaign, just be like, okay, well, let's definitely pay less than this, or ensure that we're going to get more for our money.
So you set out what you want to achieve, and then you have to figure out what it's going to cost to achieve that, basically.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And it's normally engagement that you're going after. Engagement or
sign-ups. So obviously, because most of the influencer stuff is on social, we put big weight on engagement. But also you can get stuff like, you can calculate stuff like how many followers you've got from a campaign. Obviously, that's not that as important, we don't think. Cost per website visit, that's a good one. Cost per conversion after they've like then visited the website. Yeah, it just depends on what your business goal is. Ours normally, if we're doing anything digital based, would probably be brand awareness, visibility.
Right. Which is, oh man, that's just so difficult to measure. You're better than me at this stuff. I've just made you small on my screen while looking at the chat. Got your question, Gemma. Don't worry about that. So we've calculated benchmark steps, costs. What do we do? Blimey. Okay. Now what?
So I think I'm just about to answer Gemma's question. Was it how do you research the best ones?
Yeah. Look at that. It's like you've planned this. Okay, start asking questions you don't think she can answer.
So the next step is to research influencers that best fit. So in terms of researching them, easy is just either like a Google search or kind of keywords. So
bring that mic in a little bit, would you? You're going a bit quiet. Or maybe it's me. Not right there. sort of halfway.
This?
Yeah, that's a bit better. Yeah. Okay. Maybe tilt it up a bit towards the sky.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah. Pick you up a little bit better.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't going to mention it, and you went.
No,
then you went real
I'm
quiet.
glad you did. No. So Google search of keywords that are relevant for your business. So we'll search like vegan influencers, sustainability influencers, that kind of thing. You'll just either find a blog or you'll find lists written by publications of people being like the 10 best vegan influencers follow in 2020, something like that. You can either, depending on if you want to do YouTube, you can just search on YouTube, kind of like relevant sort of videos. So if you want to search for like a vegan influencer, you can search stuff like vegan haul or what I eat in a day, vegan, that kind of thing. Using hashtags and certain. Oh, were you going to ask a question?
No. I was just going. Oh, okay. So you and it is. I was. What's. I don't know why it surprised me, but it's like, oh right. So you search for the sort of content that you want to promote. Right. So you said what I ate in a. So you wouldn't necessarily want to. You wouldn't necessarily want to promote what I eat in a day vegan, but you want to promote to the people who want to find that out.
Exactly.
Period products and the other products that you guys do.
Yeah, because the people who will be watching those will probably be vegans and will probably be interested in being vegan beyond their food and more like lifestyle choices. So yeah, you can YouTube search. If you search hashtags on certain platforms, I'm thinking specifically Instagram, you can search like vegan blogger or, vegan ramen or something like that. Or one that you can do is if you have found an influencer that you think might be useful, there's a little like drop down option on Instagram or a column on the side on Twitter where you can find like similar accounts. So it'll be people talking about like really similar stuff. They're usually like good to browse through as well. Or you can also look at an influencer's circle of people. So you can look at like who they're following and who they're engaging with and who's commenting on their posts and see if they're also similar. It takes a while to research, but it is worthwhile.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like this is a big part, right? Like all digital marketing.
Yeah,
Planning is the big bit.
It does take a while, but I think once you start getting used to it, or if you're really familiar with social media and sort of like influencers anyway, you can easily identify which ones are going to be good and which ones are going to be bad. Can I move on to identifying the best influencers?
It's you, mate. You're driving.
Yeah, so I've got a few pieces of advice for identifying good influencers. So once you've got your list, it's worth sort of like looking at them individually. So you can check their engagement rate, because if someone's got like 1 million followers, but only like, a few thousand are liking their post, that's not okay, because it means only like a few thousand are going to be looking at the post, but you would have spent 1 million followers worth on this influencer.
That's the mistake I'd have made.
Yeah.
Straight away. Brilliant. Have I made that mistake? I bet I have.
No, I don't know, actually. I'm not sure. It was so long ago. I would say that anything below 6% is not good. Obviously, if an influencer does have a huge following and it's less than 6%, that's okay, because obviously, like, the more followers you have, it's likely to be less anyway. But we use 6% as sort of like our lowest level. And you can use socialblade.com. I think that's the website, to look at an influencer's engagement rate. Just type in their name and it will come up. Yeah. So other things to look out for is that check whether an influencer is using a lot of hashtags in their posts, because they might have a good engagement rate, but it might be driven by people who are just kind of like spamming this hashtag and are looking to get new followers, rather than people who are genuinely interested in the content. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I see that a lot, don't you? Where you're like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I've actually got quite a few likes on it. On your own personal.
No one actually cares.
Yeah, exactly. I'm also being tagged with "The Queen is dead" and Tony Blair's a war criminal.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm using terrible references.
And then also check whether they have worked with a competitor recently. Now, I don't think there's any problems with working with an influencer who has worked with a competitor, but I think if you were having a post that goes out next week with them and they only posted about your competitor last week, then that's going to seem really disingenuous to their followers posting about you. So, that'll just might be a bit of a trust issue there. And then the last thing is to check whether an influencer does a lot of sponsored posts generally. Because if they do a lot, then I think that it just kind of goes to show that they only really care about making money, rather than caring about your business. And I think that people get really fatigued and annoyed with influencers who are constantly promoting something rather than talking about their life, which is what people are interested in and why they follow.
Yeah. And that, you kind of, there's a danger if you were being quite naive about it that you'd end up with one of those ones that's currently on the news for being on holiday in Dubai. At work in Dubai, and claim. Did you see that lady? I don't know her name, but it went by on the TV, and the headline was that she claimed to be a key worker because she motivated people through her posts.
Oh no, I didn't see that. That's so bad.
Yeah, every brand that you work with has just set fire to the contract.
We did actually outreach. This was before we knew she was an awful person. We did actually outreach to an influencer to try and be like, oh wow, we love your brand, and we want to work with you. But she never replied to us. Thank God, though.
She turned out later to be terrible.
Yeah, she turned out later to be in Dubai. So yeah.
Oh God. Not that Dubai's a bad place, guys. Lovely place. No. And camel's milk is readily available in the supermarkets there, which is a fact I remember from Search Term Research over 20 years ago.
Wow.
Sorry, I was talking about that yesterday with someone. Okay, we've got questions coming in, but I think you're on a flow. So why don't you tell us you take us through it, and then any questions you don't answer as part of your thing, we'll ask at the end.
Okay, well, that's kind of it for searching for the influencers, basically, or sort of the beginnings of a campaign. So do you have a question for me?
No, I think I was doing them as I went. There are some coming through, but haven't been on top of them.
I'll just keep going.
So yeah, jump on the next bit.
Yeah, what I can talk about next is sort of like the actual idea of the campaign itself, and working with an influencer like that. So in terms of Natracare's experience, the best influencers that we work with, we've had a good dialogue with. So we'll suggest ideas to them, and they'll come back being like, okay, like that, how about this as well? Because, you know, they'll know what their audience likes best. Sometimes we have just sort of like, after evaluating the influencer's page, just kind of smashed it and been like, look, this is a really good idea. And the influencer has been like, actually, yeah, this is a really good idea. And we've just kind of gone with it, which has been really good. But it's a combo of both, really. Well, it should be a combo of both anyway, in terms of like coming up with the idea itself.
Do the influencers ever come up with the ideas themselves? Like, I mean, it's going to be pretty rare, I suspect, where they go, oh, I've got a good idea for your brand.
To be fair, some influencers the good ones have come back and been like, don't totally love this. You should do this instead, or I think this will work better. But
that's quite cool.
Yeah, but based on my own experience, our own experience, mine and Sophie's, we normally come up with the winning idea. Not to boast, it's just the truth. Which is that
good. Yeah, I've seen you at work. You really are.
Oh, thank you.
Not at all. So, okay, so we don't want to give them, we can pander a little bit to their suggestions, but probably your gut idea, because you really know your market and you really know your audience, is probably, you should try and push that a little harder, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a few pieces of advice for people who want to approach an influencer. This is kind of how to, like, if you find one that you really want to work with, this is kind of how to win them over and get them on board. So this is the first one. It's a really basic marketing piece of advice that is classic for a reason, which is to just be human. Talk to them as if you're a human being, even like use I or blah blah, just so they like feel that connection with you. In some instances, people who Sophie has worked with, they've actually developed a friendship, and you know, it's made it so much easier to work with them because there is just kind of a general like level of respect and, you know, trust, that kind of thing. So yeah, be human. The second piece of advice is to make it clear you've done your research on the influencer. So don't just kind of email being like, we want to work with you. Email and say, oh, we've seen your video that talks about this. This matches with our ethos in this way. And, you know, just refer back to content that they've done recently, so you know that you actually like them and genuinely are interested and want to work with them. The third piece of advice is to spoon feed them. So it makes your work a little bit harder, but like the end result is worth it. And I'm not trying to slag off influencers, but they are lazy. They are so lazy. So you have to spoon feed them. So give them everything about your brand. You know, like just anything that you want them to mention about your brand. So, you know, we'll mention that we're vegan, sustainable, blah, 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 all the sort of like specifics of each product. Just everything.
Like, don't assume that they're going to, like, you can give them all of your brand background and a brand pack and all of that kind of stuff and say, this is what we want you to say in the post or whatever. But actually you still need to remind them, don't expect them to read anything that you haven't.
Exactly. They will not go on, even if you link them, they won't go on your website, they won't go on your socials, like they just won't. So give them everything.
Okay. Wow, these people are terrible. They're not,
honestly, guys, just don't do influencer marketing. do. But also, tell them like what's special about your brand as well. Because so this is leading on to the fourth piece of advice, which is sell yourself well. Because if you can convince the influencer to believe in your business or your product, then they'll be more interested in securing the collaboration. And also they'll be better at convincing their audience that you are worth following and worth buying, and, you know, So once you've sort of agreed, yes, we'll work together, this is cool, this is when you want to discuss budget. Now, sometimes it can be quite difficult because you might end up talking to their management, who are horrible people. They're probably actually really nice, but they kind of have to put up a front of being like, we're really horrible, we're not going to negotiate, we want this kind of thing. But I do have, from our experience again, bits of advice that might help with this. So the first piece of advice is to just be upfront with your budget. Say, we've only got this much, or, you know, we can only spend this because we do like charitable giving, for example. So that's what we say to influencers. We say, you know, like, we're a grassroots company, we only have X amount of budget because we donate, you know, 1% of our annual turnover to charities, as well as other charitable giving. So, you know, that's why a lot
1% of your annual turnover, not a percentage of your profits.
No, turnover. Yeah.
Wow, that's hefty.
Yeah. But also we do giving beyond that as well. So a lot of our marketing budget goes towards stuff like that. That really worked with an influencer called Alexandra's Girly Talk, who I think has got a few million followers. I don't know whether I'm allowed to share this info, but she only charged us like a few $1,000s, which someone with a few million followers is, you know, nothing. And we're still, this was like almost 2 years ago now, we're still getting website traffic from that video.
Which was one of the questions I was going to ask, is how long do you think this, you know, like, is the traffic really fleeting? Or...
It does normally spike, to be fair, but I think that if you get enough visibility with that collaboration, then you'll continue to see the benefits of that.
Right. Okay.
An influencer might also offer you a package deal. They might be like, oh, well, we can give you a YouTube video as well as a supporting Instagram post and an Instagram stories for this much money.
Yeah.
Which sounds good because obviously, you know, marketing, they know how to market themselves as well. But you kind of have to think, again, back to your goals. Do you really need an Instagram story? Do you really need a supporting Instagram post? Because if you're just trying to get website visits, which will be from, you know, the link in the description bar of the YouTube video, you don't really need an Instagram post.
Of course.
So you can kind of negotiate and just be like, okay, we don't really need these things. We just want to do this. Because also at the end of the day, an influencer wants your money.
Yeah.
I think they'd rather be like, okay, we'll do this for this much rather than nothing at all.
When you're talking about those packages, sorry to interrupt you, but those where they're, I mean, obviously they know their worth, and the service they're providing to brands has worth, and a good deal of it at times. So I'm guessing some of them who are really savvy are going, right, well, I'll get an agent, or I'll get a manager, or are you finding more and more of that you're dealing with agents and managers, or typically are the people you're dealing with a bit more real?
The people that we deal with are a bit more real, which is nice. We talk directly to them. It's just way easier and normally cheaper because obviously a manager isn't taking like 10% or 20%. You normally have managers, with the bigger influencers, really.
But you're talking about that you've done deals with people who have millions of followers, right? So people with millions of followers may, you know, us lot who might be just starting out on this don't have to worry about approaching them. Sometimes we'll find someone who's got a manager or an agent, and we're, you know, maybe be a bit fearful of that. And I'm sure there are ways that you can work with it, but as you say, it's going to add on 10-20% on the price. So
yeah, exactly.
But if you can get someone who's got millions of followers or hundreds of thousands of followers, and a decent engagement rate, say about 6%, I've heard is great. Or average, you may still be negotiating with that person who you might have really felt a connection with through their social posts and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like a lot of the influencers that we've actually outreach to are people we're already following, because we are sort of our own target audience, people like us. But there was something I was going to say.
Sorry, I just knocked you sideways with that question.
No, it's okay. I'll just move on. Oh yeah, and then it's the benchmark costs again, is just calculating how much you should spend based on industry benchmarks or what you've done before in the past.
How often have you broken that rule?
The benchmark costs rule.
Yeah, where you go, oh, I really like this person.
You know what? Probably quite often, actually. Yeah. But it is worthwhile because while I have been sort of emphasizing the importance of engagement, we care about other things too, which is like the sentiment of people's comments on Instagram or YouTube, the DMs that people get, that influencers get from their followers about the product that they're advertising,
Right.
which, you know, not to be cheesy, but is priceless. So yeah.
Okay, so I was guessing there, was it that you did break it occasionally if you found the right, or that you just got the good vibes. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, and
carry
sometimes
on.
That's okay. Sometimes, yeah, we do get the good vibes, but also, I don't mean this in a like, oh, you know, sympathy kind of way, but if we think like it's in terms of the bigger picture, it's way better to work with an influencer that needs it more than a bigger influencer does, but it's going to cost in terms of like result a little bit more than like we'd rather do that than, you know, like give to the rich, basically.
Okay. There's a thread of authenticity running through everything that you're saying,
yes.
which I really like. I really like it.
Oh, thank you. We pride ourselves on being authentic and transparent, and hopefully as real as possible to people and influencers, which I think is why we have had such successful campaigns, is because they just believe in us.
Ah. So where do we get up to in this campaign that you're putting together?
Oh yeah,
I was writing down people's questions.
Oh God, yes. Sorry, everybody. Let me quickly run through this because I'm a bit conscious of time, to be honest. So in terms of the actual idea itself that you have with an influencer, again, some key things to note. You want to sell an idea, not a product. So, for example, the Rename Don't Shame campaign that I mentioned earlier, we sold that idea to influencers. We were like, we want to promote this, not us. And because of that, influencers were so on board. In fact, an influencer and his girlfriend, Jamie and Shabba is what they're called. You can just search them on YouTube. They're like total allies for social justice, really good people, but they were so on board with our campaign that they gave us a considerably lower cost than what they typically would have charged.
That was what someone was asking actually, is are there ever occasions where people will they believe in it so much that they'll do the work for free or a lower cost?
Yeah, so that is the perfect example. Also, the video that I mentioned before, Alexandra's girly talk, she already used our product and she liked what we were about, so she was like, yeah, have it cheaper. So that's nice.
They got to put food on the table, haven't they? We can't expect them to do it for free because they love the product.
No, but they can still put food
doing us a deal is good.
A few £1,000s.
Turn that screw, Lamb. Turn that screw.
The second tip is to narrow down the message. So match your USPs with the influencer's USPs, and you'll kind of have a recipe for success. Let me just provide some visual examples, actually.
Oh, that would be really useful. Why don't you share your screen?
Yeah, sorry, I totally forgot about sharing my screen.
Please stop apologising. Otherwise, I'm going to come around there and clip your ear.
Okay, right.
I've just done a threat of physical violence against a friend of mine on the television. I apologise, everybody.
Sorry, I'm just figuring out how to maximize.
You've just apologised again.
Good Lord. Sorry. Oh, God. So this was the video with Jamie and Shabba. They did a couple reacts to gender reveal fails. And as you can see, there's us. It got like this many views. He's got this many subscribers. So that's like a third, a third of, and look at the number of likes. That's so good. That's like 10% of people that 10%?
Way more than our 6% benchmark. Yeah, love it.
Oh, nice.
It's more than 10% of the views, but it's 10% of the views. I don't know what it is of 662. Anyway, you go on. I'll stop trying to do the maths.
So this is the point I'm trying to emphasize, with matching your USPs to the influencer's USPs. So this influencer, Yasmin Johal, she is a young mum, and we obviously sell maternity products and wipes and stuff. So we were like, okay, well, why don't we sort of like lean into this message, which is motherhood guilt, we're a brand that we're not so like, oh, this has to be perfect. We want this, like, we're all about, like we mentioned before, honesty and being real. And obviously, like, especially, oh, this was not during lockdown actually, but you know, mums, real mums feel motherhood guilt, and so we were like, let's promote this message that it's normal to feel this way, blah blah blah. You can connect with your audience, and hopefully they can connect with our brand too. So yeah,
that's nice. Yeah. And 600 likes, we like that.
Yes, indeed, we do like that. Yeah.
Rounding it up.
It doesn't look massive, obviously. Oh, thank you. It doesn't look massive, obviously, but I would consider her to be a micro influencer. So that is pretty good. The third message is, if you can't think of an idea, or not sure like what way to approach creating an image for Instagram or like YouTube, is to look at the influencer's past content and sort of narrow that down to their most successful posts. So the ones that have just outperformed everything else. What have all of those posts had in common with each other, and sort of emulate that. So this example with Jessica Megan, this is probably our most successful campaign. The amazing Sophie, who I work with, she actually did this. But so we recognized that Jessica Megan's most successful posts were kind of like risque images. So we're like, okay, let's just do that. Show your period products. And so we did, and it's done. I mean, look at the likes. That wasn't even like a month after. So I think it got like 50,000 a month after we had posted it, but it kept increasing because we were getting really good press coverage from it, because of the amazing message that we've sort of got across here.
So you did an influencer campaign. Oh, sorry. You're telling me that. You keep going, mate. I was about to interrupt your explanation of the question I was going to ask.
It's worthwhile doing stuff like this because you might get sort of like residual return from it. We got PR return from it, even though that wasn't like our goal at all. So we got mentioned in Glamour, and we got mentioned in Huda Beauty, as well as like Vogue South Africa, I think maybe, and some big French publication as well.
Let's just say Vogue. Say Vogue.
Okay, Vogue. Yeah. Vogue.
We got mentioned in Vogue.
Be your own biggest fan. Yeah. So that's it basically. In terms of like ideas for influencers and how to sort of make the most of the post.
So what warning signs should we look out for? This has come up a lot in terms of dealing with influencers. If they, what are some of the ways that you would notice that it's not going to be a fit?
So this, obviously, we got this list based on all the sort of unsuccessful campaigns that we've done. But so wildly offbeat pricing, if they're just too expensive in comparison to benchmark costs or to how much you can just afford, as well as their unwillingness to negotiate. If they are relying on you solely for ideas, or just are very like rigid with their ideas, that's also a bit of a warning sign. Again, you want to get a good dialogue going with them. If they lack enthusiasm for your brand, it kind of shows that they're in it for the money and not because they actually care about your brand. And also a lack of curiosity. If an influencer isn't really like asking you questions or isn't sort of being like, prove this, prove your claim, because I want to be authentic to my followers, then that's another warning sign to look out for.
Yeah.
But they're probably the main ones.
And they are fantastic ones. They are fantastic ones. Yeah. And again, it's really, and of course, I mean, it's so obvious, but hearing you speak about it, and I mentioned it earlier, but it is just that authenticity coming through all the time, is that it has to be like, it has to resonate with, they have to resonate with your brand, like who they are and what they produce. Them as an influencer or a social media person has to resonate with your audience, and then you personally have to resonate with them, because otherwise it feels a lot more collaborative than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, definitely. It really is, like every little step, like you've just mentioned, it is so important to just be authentic and be honest. And you can get a good relationship out of an influencer, and maybe even do more campaigns with them after that, and build loyalty with their following. And yeah, it might seem like it's just for this one campaign, but actually the trust that you build with an influencer means that later down the line you might have even further success.
And so how would you know whether or not you want to work with an influencer again? Is that like, how would you measure success?
I think that if they're easy to communicate with, if they're like responding on time and kind of just, you know, just having a conversation with you, that's when you know that, you know, if someone's easy to work with, you want to keep them. Again, it's the exchange of ideas, rather than like you doing all the heavy lifting. I know I kind of mentioned that you should spoon feed them, but it is to a degree. And also it's kind of a bit crap because some people might be a bad judge of character, but just if you can just sense they're genuine, then they're worthwhile working with. So like Yasmin, the influencer that I showed in the PowerPoint just then, we've done multiple campaigns with her all about different topics, so like motherhood, veganism, charitable giving, rename don't shame, because all of those things that I just mentioned, like she ticked them all.
Yeah. And there must be a commercial, like the KPIs, I suppose, as well, would dictate whether or not you work with them. Like, how do you measure success on a campaign level? Is that going back to your original goals and going,
yeah, it's just the benchmark costs again. So we normally do a report a month after the influencers posted. We'll ask them for their insights, blah, blah, blah. And then once we've sort of calculated cost per result and all that kind of stuff, we'll compare it to the benchmark costs and decide whether it was successful or not that way.
Yeah. How do you calculate cost per result? This is a bloke who couldn't work out a percentage earlier, asking someone else who couldn't.
No, I do know. Cost per result is the cost of the post. So, for example, £100 divided by the results of engagement. So it'll be like 100 divided by, let's say, like 500 equals, what's that? If anyone knows, you type it in the comments.
100 divided by 500. Everybody. I reckon it's going to end in a 0 or a 5. That's 0. My punt. Okay. But that's okay.
Yes, Livy came through.
Thanks, Livy. I was going to guess it had a 2 in it.
Oh, well, you didn't know.
This is how sales works as well, guys, by the way.
So yeah, that means each engagement cost 20p.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that'd be great.
If every engagement costs 20p.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually quite low.
Yeah. Is it because you made the example up on the fly?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. So, and we've talked about working with the same influencer. We have got a stack of questions.
Okay, yes, let's go for it.
So, before I ask 2 things before we go further, can everybody else see that a far better looking, bearded, much more hirsute version of me has joined the call in a Starsky and Hutch cardigan, sat in front of a map. Welcome the better looking younger version of me. I don't know why. I don't know who that is. I presume it's Josh from Noisy Little Monkey.
I was wondering why fake Josh was there as well. I was like, oh, Josh has joined. He wants to support me. No.
Oh, he's now changed his name to Soz. I clicked the wrong.
He is here. Oh, right, he is here. Oh, right.
Hello, Josh. Thanks for underlining the professionalism at Noisy Little Monkey by being able to log on to a webinar, which I'm allegedly hosting. So that's question 1. Question 2 is, would you like the questions from the community put to you by myself, Jonathan Mark Payne, yes, or your co-host from Just a Girl podcast, Miss Katie Roberts?
I didn't know your middle name was Mark, for one. But also, I would actually love if Katie asked me the questions.
Why don't I shut the hell up then? Come on, Katie. Are you? Oh, is she there? Is she there?
There she is.
Oh, yeah.
Queen.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. That was amazing.
Oh, thank you so much.
So insightful, so inspiring.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
We have a ton of questions. So I'm going to drop Natalie's Twitter handle in the chat.
Oh, yes.
Just in case we don't get round to all of them.
Yeah, please ask me.
But
N4A's Tilly.
N4A's T-A-L-A. Sorry, Katie.
John knows that because he listens to our podcast. Right, I'm going to just start from the top. Some of them you might have answered. Okay. So you already answered Gemma's one. So we've got a question from Sindhu Ram saying, do you use or recommend paid platforms that have a database of influencers to find relevant influencers, or do you always do your own research?
We always do our own research. I think that they are a waste of money because they just look through, they don't consider stuff like engagement rate really, and they sort of look through hashtags and stuff like that. They don't really get like the whole sort of feel for an influencer. It's literally just kind of, yeah, keywords basically. So no, don't use those. Use what I said earlier in the talk, which is YouTube, hashtags on Instagram, and Google search. Or just ask me, I'll do it in my free time.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Why not? Give me spag bowl. Another question from Emma that says, what are your views on paid work and gifted work? A lot of influencer marketing that Emma does is mainly through gifted products due to having a smaller marketing budget. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think gifted is cool. We've done some gifted stuff before, and we got, Instagram stories from it. And it's essentially like free for your business. I know it costs for the product. But I think you can't guarantee coverage is the only thing. I think that influencers or like freelancers generally will think I think they'll look at you differently if you don't want to sort of, what's the word? Pay them. That's not the word I was thinking of. But if you don't want to pay them, they'll be like, oh, they're just expecting free work, blah, blah, blah. So gifted is fine if you aren't expecting coverage or shares or anything like that. But if you want to guarantee that, then you should probably do paid stuff.
Yeah, I guess could be like less focused, couldn't it? Because they might just put it on one story, like, oh, I love this, rather than be like committed to the campaign, I guess.
And for us specifically, because we have to be very specific in what an influencer says, because there's a bit of science involved. If we like gift somebody and they cover us, they might say something that's not accurate. So that could be quite bad.
Well, that actually leads on to a great question from Livy that says, have you ever had any campaigns not go so well? And what did you learn from that? So in the example Livy gave was if the influencer relayed the information wrong or anything like that. Has anything like that ever happened?
Part of our process is that we make sure that we check captions and check videos and Instagram stories before an influencer publish. I can't say that word today for some reason.
Publishes.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe I never say it. But yeah, so we'll make sure, we'll double check it. So normally it's okay, but the way that something has gone wrong is more if we don't get any like return from it, basically. Like we did do a Facebook post with an influencer, this was ages ago, and no engagements whatsoever. Yeah, it was
God.
But we just kind of said, look, we've not really had anything. This is like, a bit of a waste of our money. And they were like, okay, we're happy to, just refund you. So that was really nice of them, to be fair. We've had influencers delete posts not long after they've published it.
Oh God.
The sponsored post. Savage. Yeah. So we were like, we just contacted them being like, this is a bit crap, can you put it back on? And they did. They were like, so sorry, blah blah blah. And
didn't fit my vibe.
Yeah, that's actually what they said.
Ruining the aesthetic.
But they put it back on, and then after that we were like, okay, we need to put this in our agreement / contract that they have to keep it on for like at least a year. Yeah.
Cool. Another one from the lovely Gemma Bryant. I think you did touch on this, but just to reiterate, do you continue to use the same influencers for campaigns to build ongoing trust and a relationship with their network? Or do you always try and engage with new influencers for a wider reach?
Yeah, I did mention that with Yasmin. So we've continued to work with her. Another influencer called Lex Croucher, we've worked with multiple times. I think hopefully we will work with Jessica Megan. If anyone here works for one of my competitors, don't work with Jessica Megan. But we're hopefully going to work with her again. So I think if an influencer has proved like their worth to you, then definitely work with them again. But there's also like no harm in reaching out to more people because more coverage.
Is Jessica Megan the one with the period pad in her pants?
Yeah, that was her.
Love her.
Queen.
Question in the chat from Flora that says, do you have contracts with your influencers for a paid campaign?
Yes, yeah, we do, because of stuff that's gone wrong in the past. Initially, we had a sort of like informal, no, it wasn't informal. We just called it an agreement because
gentleman's agreement. Is that something dodgy?
I don't know. It sounded dodgy though, because we don't want to put influencers off by having like this giant like sort of law jargon thing, blah blah blah. And that worked well with some influencers, but then it just felt like, because we were working with like way bigger influencers, we were like, okay, we probably should have a more sort of solid thing in place. So now we have a big contract. We just kind of say to an influencer, if there's anything you're not sure about, like just ask us. But yeah, it's definitely have a contract.
Excellent, good answer. Another question from the lovely Livy. Which social media platforms have been the most valuable to Natracare?
I would say definitely Instagram and YouTube. Instagram, because actually whenever I look in analytics, the social media platform that does drive the most traffic is Instagram. But YouTube, just because I think the people who are on YouTube are so engaged that, you know, yeah, like I mentioned before, we're just still getting website visits from YouTube collaborations that we've done. And also it just allows an influencer to sort of talk about us a bit more, and with like a truly genuine voice. So yeah, definitely those two.
Excellent. Question from Queen Sophie Crichton. I nearly called her Sophie Cry because of her Instagram. If you start to get bad vibes from an influencer or their manager, how late is too late to back out? And do you have ways you do so while maintaining a positive relationship?
I think that too late is when they've signed the contract, because the contract is binding. But honestly, like any time before that, I think is okay. I think that, again, it's the authenticity. As long as you've been authentic throughout the entire conversation beforehand, they sort of won't hold a grudge, and I think they'd understand why you wouldn't want to. Obviously, you'd kind of have to like word it nicely or just come up with something else. But yeah, that's sort of like the best way. We kind of just say like our marketing plans have changed, or we found out we don't really have the budget for it anymore, because usually the ones that give us bad vibes are sort of the more expensive ones anyway. So it is true. But yeah, I don't think there is a too late until you sign the contract, they sign the contract, and just be as nice as possible. Just kill them with kindness.
Oh, that's my mantra, Queen.
Yeah, I said that because of you, actually. You said it to me the other day.
Oh my God. I can't remember what that was about. Anyway, drama.
I hate to kill the loving. We've got another minute. One more question, I reckon, Katie.
Okay, quick, one more.
Okay, I've got two questions that I don't know which one to choose from, but I was going to ask Gertie's question of why are you such a legend?
Childhood trauma.
I was going to say, I knew you'd just say childhood trauma, so I didn't ask. Okay, we will finish then. I can answer that for you. We'll finish with Connor's question, or the Anderson as we know him. How would you compare the success of influencer marketing compared to the likes of paid reach, SEO, etc., especially in terms of budget and return?
It's quite difficult, because if you're like putting a lot of effort into SEO and like PPC, then the results will be quite different anyway. Or not the results, sorry, like your objective would be quite different. But I guess it's simply like, again, the cost per result, and especially like conversion. That's why you're sending someone to your website at the end of the day. So it's, is the cost per conversion cheaper via organic, which is free anyway, via PPC, or via influencer marketing, and whichever one. But influencer marketing works really well for us because we're obviously not just trying to get conversions, we're trying to get general brand awareness. And yeah, hope that answers your question, Connor.
Queen, thanks for everyone's questions. John, I'll let you wrap up. Pass the power back to you.
Hi, Katie. See you later.
And actually, adding on to your little bit of, to a little bit of, or a little bit to your answer, that, sorry.
I didn't mean to laugh.
Go on. That, just if my cogs had stopped working because Katie came around, I'm like that, I'll just but adding on, like, if you do a really good nice, it's a great look, if you do a really good influencer campaign, right,
Yes.
Then like the one where you've got press coverage, that's giving you SEO as well as branding.
Yeah,
so
that is true, actually. Yeah.
Which column are you going to put that in? If you're dividing it all up by channel, and I know we do need to do that, but there does come a point where you go, well, it's just an integrated campaign.
Yeah, that's true.
We did press advertising, we've got press, we've got influencer. So yeah.
Yeah.
Natalie, that is brilliant. Thank you for all the hard work you put in.
Oh no, thank you
everybody for staying on.
Yeah, I hope everybody learned too.
They did learn.